Welcome back. So let's just pull up the Asian picture as well and get a sense of where the implied open is. Asian markets are very mixed this morning with this whole roller coaster on Wall Street. There's some green on, for instance, the Japanese market. The Hong Kong market and the Shanghai market are under a little bit of pressure, but not much, as you can see. It's barely down, the Hang Seng. Let's pull up the implied is right there. Implied is also very flat, along with the Qs in the rest of Asia. So will today be the day of recovery? You get through this opening, and then can the bulls build from there? It's also going to be a day to focus on a lot of individual stocks. There's plenty of news flow. So let's straight away get to our team for the CNBC-TV18 list of top stocks to watch. And topping that list, of course, has to be, morning to all of you guys, but topping that list has to be Bharti Airtel, Rima. So Starlink and Bharti, the tie-up is happening.
Indeed. So Bharti yesterday in a press release has announced an agreement with SpaceX to bring Starlink's high-speed satellite internet to the Indian customers. Now, right now, it's a partnership. Now, what they will explore is Starlink's equipment, because to get that satellite connectivity, you need certain equipment that will be available in retail stores. Airtel will be able to offer Starlink services to the customers, which hitherto they could not service on account of lack of last-mile connectivity. They didn't probably have the cables. So it's an opportunity for Bharti Airtel also to expand its service offering to enterprises. Maybe a corporate has, some headquarters in a very difficult location, say a mining location where you don't have that much connectivity. Then you can offer it to enterprises as well as customers. So it opens up new revenue streams for Airtel. But again, we don't know how much because, satellite connectivity would be more expensive than terrestrial. So how many people would, take that on board? Perhaps it will be more useful for enterprises. The release is not saying it's going to be an exclusive partnership. Also, Starlink is yet to receive its license in India. The spectrum allocation is yet to be done, which means at least in the near term, it's not that it's going to be, immediately money is going to start flowing into Bharti Airtel's coffers. But the good part is that Airtel is not fighting it out. Instead of it being Starlink being a competitor, it's now there's going to be collaboration, right? So whatever money has to come, it will be shared between the two. So in that sense,
it's neutralized the threat.
It's neutralized the threat, like collaboration over competition.
Smart strategy, perhaps. Okay.
And it's not exclusive as well.
No, we don't know. The press release isn't saying that it's exclusive. Right? So who knows, right? They could just tie up with Jio as well or Vodafone Idea in the future, but we don't know right now.
All right. Okay. All right. Let's hop across to Sudarshan. He's here to tell us about Tata Motors. Sudarshan?
So, good morning, Nigel. Tata Motors CFO held analyst meet yesterday, and the commentary coming out of that is largely positive. But first, talking about the stock is near 52-week low. It's down 12% in the last 2 to 3 months. Now, talking about the commentary, first on the JLR front, it maintains Q4 guidance, Q4 EBIT margin guidance of 10%, and it says that it will be net debt-free by FY25 end. Now, on geography, it says US is progressing well. In EU, the environment has been less challenging that company had expected. In China, it's saying that it's outperforming industry, and for UK, it's saying that it's improving well. On domestic front, it says that CV segment has been doing good, but PV has to see an improvement, and going forward, the focus has to arrest market share loss, especially in the small CV segment. Even brokerages are largely positive on the stock. Nomura has a buy call with a target of 861. Macquarie has an outperform call with a target of 826. CLSA has high conviction outperform call and target is 930. Goldman Sachs has neutral stance, target is 690. And Nuvama has a reduced call and target is 720. But I'm going with green on Tata Motors on the basis of commentary coming out of the analyst meet.
Thank you very much for that. We were just talking about how the Bharti press release doesn't say it's an exclusive partnership with Starlink.
Well,
Jio, it's not because Jio Platforms has just announced that they too will be bringing SpaceX Starlink high-speed internet to all its customers. So SpaceX Starlink has tied up both with Bharti Airtel and Reliance Jio. Now, do they tie up with Vodafone Idea also? We'll have to wait by to see. But for now, Bharti Airtel and Reliance Jio.
So now they have to compete with each other, not with Starlink and Mr. Musk, because he's anyway tied up with everybody for last mile connectivity, because these companies know the Indian market, right? So he will continue to sell his services. It's between Jio and Bharti to fight and figure out who can do a better job.
So, all these big major, telecom company heads in India, they've always said that satellite connectivity should be used more and should be seen as something for greater good because 40% of the Indian population is still not connected to the internet. And the problem is last mile connectivity. It's very hard to put cables, etc.
Yeah.
So therefore, we are trying to serve a greater good by providing them connectivity through the satellite.
Yeah.
So, that's always been the philosophy behind this, the satellite expansion and satellite communication.
Yeah.
So now they'll all come together and provide all Indians connectivity.
Well, that's the greater good, of course. And whether it starts impacting any of the, the wider services as well, we'll find out. 9 o'clock, a full-blown discussion coming up on this with the analysts and experts at IIFL. So wait by for that. We'll get you more on this. And that's the news on the screen, that it's now not just Airtel, but Jio is in this as well. They also have announced a tie-up with SpaceX's Starlink, high-speed internet to customers. Remember, Airtel was saying that they will be selling a lot of the Starlink equipment through their retail stores, etc. So we'll see how this plays out. But let's quickly move on. More stocks in news as well. And a lot of banks are going to be in focus because this big resolution plan for JP Associates. Let's find out what's the latest on this one. Ritu, good morning.
Good morning, Surbhi. Green for banks because, it's a landmark resolution nearly a decade in the making. 25 banks led by State Bank of India and ICICI Bank have finally executed the transfer of the stress loans belonging to Jaiprakash Associates to NARCL, which is the National Asset Reconstruction Company. Now, against the principal outstanding of 14,500 crores, banks get 12,000 crores from NARCL for the sale. Of course, the total outstanding debt for JP, including all the overdues, interest and penalties, since it's been an NPA since 2016, is well over 52,000 crore rupees. Now, the deal, we understand, follows that 1585 structure. So 1,800 crores of cash gets paid upfront and the rest in the form of security receipts. And it is going to reflect in the bank's balance sheet in the current quarter itself. So you have SBI alone recovering about 500 crores in cash, another 2840 crores in the form of security receipts, while ICICI Bank, IDBI Bank, Axis and others also secure some recoveries. Meanwhile, the insolvency process will continue. The EOI submission deadline has been extended to the 25th of March, and the final recoveries for banks from security receipts are going to depend on the IBC process.
Okay, all right. Thanks a lot for that, Ritu. Good to see you early in the morning. Well, let's hop across to Sapna. She's here to tell us about the news flow on Paytm. Sapna?
Well, what we have picked up is the fact that, the government may be reconsidering the exemption that has been given in terms of the merchant discount rates to UPI as well as the RuPay cards. If you recall, way back in 2020, from 1st Jan onwards, this exemption had rolled out. The finance minister had made a specific announcement in December 2019. But having said that, the way the digital payments ecosystem has grown, there are indications that capital is required for further investments and further growth. That's one aspect. Second, I think the government would also be liking to have a kind of a level playing field with the private card issuers like your Visas and MasterCards, where the MDR very much continues, but there's nothing on RuPay cards. And third aspect, of course, even while reconsidering this and doing a rethink on this entire matter, what they would like to emphasize is that if in case the MDR as a revenue model comes back, that cost should not be passed on to the customers. Well, all of this is at a very preliminary stage. Let me clarify that. But having said that, there's a serious rethink going on within the government circles on this matter. And probably over the next couple of months, we should hear something about this.
Thank you very much for that. It's over now to Vamakshi for the latest on Godrej Agrovet.
Well, good morning, Reema. The stock will be in focus because they will be acquiring the residual 48% stake in Creamline Dairy Products. This acquisition will be done for nearly 930 crores. And after this, it will become the wholly owned subsidiary of Godrej Agrovet. Keep in mind that Creamline Dairy is engaged in milk procurement, processing of milk, manufacturing and selling of milk, as well as some milk products. Now, when we talk about the valuation, at the 48% stake for 930 crores brings the company's valuation to 1,935 crores. The revenue for the company in FY24 was at 1,540.5 crores, which puts the price to sales ratio at 1.26 times. So overall, given this development, going with the green for Godrej Agrovet.
Okay, all right. Got that, Vamakshi. Thank you very much for that. Let's move on to, she's tracking the developments at PB Fintech because like I was saying earlier, now we have the numbers. This healthcare foray, they're almost putting 700 crores to work, Yash, on this?
Well, that's correct. This was awaited, the monetization value unlocking as far as the healthcare vertical is concerned, and the process has begun. What PB Fintech has informed the exchanges is that they would be infusing. This is the PB Fintech listed entity, would be infusing about 696 crore rupees to own a 33.63% stake in the healthcare foray, that is PB Healthcare. Now, this is with respect to PB Fintech, but certain senior employees of PB Fintech as well as the founder would also be infusing some money into the PB Healthcare or the healthcare foray. Yashish Dahiya would be infusing 87 crore for a 4.2% stake. 43.5 crore would be infused by co-founder Alok Bansal for a 2.1% stake. Sarabveer Singh as well as Mandeep Mehta and Bhaskar Joshi would be infusing 2.25 crore per 0.11% stake. A total of about 40.04% stake being given out through this particular transaction for a total infusion of 828.75 crore rupees. Left with is about 60% stake, and that will be very important because that will get money into PB Fintech and of course the healthcare foray itself from other investors. And this is just, just to put a number to it, this transaction has happened at a valuation of nearly about 2100 crore rupees.
Okay, all right, got it. So PB Healthcare, another stock on our radar today, Yash. Thank you for that. Let's quickly recap the list then of all the stocks that we need to watch out for. The ones that have positive news flow around them: Bharti Airtel, Tata Motors, SBI, ICICI Bank, IDBI Bank, Axis Bank, PB Fintech, Paytm, Godrej Agrovet, and of course Reliance Industries. This is on the back of the Starlink development that's just come in today. No stocks actually that have negative news flow and that may open in the red because of negative news, that is, at least. Well, that's equities. Let's quickly figure out what's the latest in the world of commodities. We have Manisha joining in. Manisha, 25% tariff, 50%, now it's back to 25%. It's too much, right? But you tell us, what have you been tracking over the last 12 hours?
Oh, well, absolutely, Surbhi. The chaotic implementation of tariffs is leading to a lot of uncertainty into the markets there. Well, as you said, we do understand that 25% tariffs on steel and aluminum go into effect today and not the 50% on Canada. But we also do understand that the US and Canada will hold negotiations this week on trade and tariffs. So the story is far from over. You will continue to see very, very volatile trades happening in metals. But in the meanwhile, overnight, as the street was reacting to all of this in the New York session, we've seen prices actually gain for many of these metals. Steel prices gained up by a percentage point. Iron ore prices have been holding around 2-month highs. Copper jumped up by 2.5%. We saw silver gain up by 3%. Gold was up 1% as well. The US dollar index trading at a 4-month lows clearly has been supportive. And the markets will watch out for the US inflation data that comes in today. And this is going to be the most important number to watch out for ahead of the US Fed meeting, which is on 17th and 18th of March. So clearly, there's a handful of stuff to watch out in sense of global events, and the market continues to be quite volatile.
Thank you, Manisha, for that important update on commodities. We'll slip into a very short break. On the other side, we'll connect with Deven Choksi for some fundamental stock talk.